It all began with an unauthorized miner, Orion Pax, infiltrating a facility and inserting a video disc which explains the story of Primus, who in order to protect his universe, used his life force to transform to the planet Cybertron. The planet gave birth to the first Transformers called the Prime. To help the future generations, Primus created an entity which holds a great power called the Matrix of Leadership, which will fuse with the Prime, obtaining an infinite power source. It turns out the Matrix got lost through the years and decades of peace went down the drain. The unauthorized miner was spotted and was given a head start as he tried escaping and got chased. Pax tried escaping but was chased into the city as he ran miles to evade the officials. The officials caught up to him and was about arresting him when his best friend, D16, distracted the officials and he was able to hide long enough to evade them. He told his friend that he got clues in the archives which might reveal the Matrix location and had to sneak back, but D16 felt it wasn't necessary as Sentinel Prime is already in the surface risking his life to find the Matrix. Pax wanted to help Sentinel Prime and also had a great ambition as he no longer wants to be a miner. He offered D16 Megatron Prime badge for his help which he greatly appreciated. The miners made their way to the mining facility, led by their captain who instructed Orion Pax and D16 on what to do. They started mining the resources available at the moment when the mine field got unstable as the miners, in fear, began evacuating the facility. Still evacuating, Jack got stuck and Orion Pax, on noticing this, rushed to help him breaking protocol as the captain instructed him to exit the tunnel. They were able to assist Jack and exit the tunnel, but the captain was a bit mad at Orion as his actions might cause her to lose her job. Her fears were confirmed as she was fired by Darkwing as she pushed Orion and left. Orion tried confronting Darkwing and his friend, D16 paid the price. D16 warned of the consequences of talking back to a superior and also how he is lucky to be alive. Orion was fed with his life as a miner but thanked his friend for having his back. A live transmission came from Sentinel Prime as he appears to be back from the surface as he addressed everyone on the planet, informing them of his major setback as he failed to acquire the Matrix of Leadership which was meant to establish peace in Cybertron. But he assures them he will find it in the future as he relives every one of their duties for a day so they can watch or participate in the race as everyone cheered for him. Orion tried convincing D16 to join him participate in the Iacon 5000 race, not to win, but to get attention, by racing past at least one Transformer in the race making history. But D16 brought him to the sad reality that they were just bots who can't transform or race as he left, but Orion wouldn't accept such fate. The race had begun, and as they were preparing to watch, Orion sneaked into a nearby facility, forcing his friend to follow as Orion led them to a high ground to get a first-class view of the race. The Transformer introduced as Sentinel Prime, regarded as the savior of Megatron, graced the occasion. Sentinel Prime addressed everyone stating how it's been 50 cycles since the Quintessence caused the death of other Primes and the loss of the Matrix. They honored the Primes who lost their life as the race was about to begin. It turns out Orion had other plans as he ejected himself and his friend from the pod to join the racers. D16 was terrified, but it was too late and he had to race. Sentinel Prime spotted them, which spiked their attention as they were the only miners in history to participate in the race. It was a wonderful experience for them as Sentinel Prime watched their passion in trying to race past the Transformers. They fell way behind, but Orion and D16 entered a machine which ejected them at full speed to third place. Working together they made first place, but D16 got injured, forcing Orion to stay back and assist as another Transformer got the first place and won. They lost the race as other Transformers raced past them as they had no strength to continue and were just participators. D16 was mad at Orion for making them race as they were probably going to get punished or demoted, but to their surprise Sentinel Prime visited, informing them of how he loved what they did as they gave his best racers a run for their money. Sentinel Prime was informed that it's time to go to the surface again, but before he left, he asked that the miners be escorted to his private personal facility, but their mining superior Darkwing wasn't happy and decided to defy order as he took them to sublevel 50 where they encountered another miner, B127, also called B, who informed them that he had been there for a very long time. They asked how they were supposed to get out, but B broke it to them that they were never getting out. Their new job was to melt scrap for recycle as B showed them around. Orion accidentally thrashed some equipment which activated an SOS signal showing Alphatrion, one of the Primes, at the time of his death, requesting immediate support as he sends the coordinates for the Matrix location. The coordinates led to a location as Orion felt they could find the Matrix of Leadership there, but D16 wasn't happy with any of his plans as none had worked out and the surface is too dangerous for them. Orion was able to convince D16 as B told them he knew a way to the surface and they began making their way there. B led them to the train traveling all the way to the surface and not always with passengers, which encouraged them as they felt they will be safe in it. Their old captain Alita happened to be present as they attempted to take her out but failed as she attempts to call security, but the train had already begun ascension to the surface. Orion followed as he tried explaining the whole ordeal to Alita, but she wouldn't listen and began making her way up. They caught up to her as they arrived at the surface and were in awe, as the surface was a beautiful place. Orion showed her their coordinates as he informed her of her plan to acquire the Matrix and deliver it to Sentinel, but Alita, not wanting to be demoted again, tried turning the train around when their attention was diverted to the massive quake approaching. They tried making their way back inside the train, but it was shut from behind, and they ran for their life. They were at the top when the quake crushed their train, sending them flying. They managed to survive the quake as Alita was so mad at Orion, but she was stranded and had no choice but to join them on their quest. They were on their way to the location when they observed the animal bots running. They also joined as they ran and hid, observing when they saw a big ship floating as the Quintessence arrived and began scanning for life force to exterminate. They were able to evade the Quintessence scanners, and the ship left the scene. They followed the coordinates to a cave, and on getting in, they were shocked on realizing that the Prime were there as they found accessories belonging to them there. D16 found the decomposing part of his idol Megatron's Prime and some other Prime, and on realizing that the Matrix wasn't where it's supposed to be, decided to keep looking. Orion brought their attention to a glowing object in the cave, and as they ripped the cave open, were surprised to find Alpha Trion powered down as they placed his cog back in him, resuscitating him as he mourned his dead friends present, and was also surprised to find miners present. The miners informed Alpha Trion of their plan to deliver the Matrix of Leadership to Sentinel Prime, their Lord Protector, but Alpha Trion was shocked and broke it to them, stating that Sentinel is not a Prime, and told them a story of their war with the Quintessence, how Sentinel, an assistant to the Primes, intercepted the enemy transmission, informing of an enemy gathering of Quintessence as the Primes decided to handle it themselves. It turns out Sentinel led them to a trap as the Quintessence ambushed, and they stood their ground until Sentinel crushed them all in the midst of the attack and acquired the Matrix, but couldn't wield its power as it can only be wielded by whoever Primus deemed worthy as it vanished from him. Alpha Trion explained further how Sentinel bargained with the Quintessence and sold his people. The story was over as Sentinel arrived, and they watched in hiding his meeting with the Quintessence. They were shocked as Sentinel bowed to the Quintessence and delivered crates of Cybertron's energy to the Quintessence, but they weren't enough, and he was jacked up as he begged and promised to acquire more energy, and Sentinel informed that all miners must be put to work without break until he acquired all the energy he needs and left. The miners were in disbelief as their whole life has been a lie. D16 was so enraged and wished he could kill Sentinel, but felt he couldn't as he is just a worthless bot. Alpha Trion informed them that they were all born as Transformers with transformation cogs, but Sentinel removed them before they came online. He also explained the main attribute of a Transformer, which is their spark, and as he found spark in all of them, Alpha Trion handed the cogs of his dead Prime members to them as they all transformed to elite Transformers. The Quintessence found them as Alpha Trion led them to a tunnel to escape as he plans to take on the Quintessence alone while they save their people. The Quintessence attacked him, but he managed to take them out until Sentinel assistant ambushed him from behind. The Transformers were escaping when the Quintessence spotted them and began shooting at them. They tried transforming, but it was so hard for them as their transformations were not really aiding their escape. They were cornered but successfully transformed and made their way out. They were delighted at their transformation and decided to make their way back to Iacon. Alpha Trion was captured before Sentinel as he was disgusted by the sight of Sentinel, the traitor. Sentinel asked of the others in the cave with him, but as Alpha Trion informed, they will bring about his end. Sentinel struck and killed him with his sword. He informed his assistant to hunt down the others as she left to find them. Orion felt his friend. D16 was acting weird and tried talking to him, but he was clouded by revenge. Still speaking, they got ambushed and blasted, and on waking up, they were brought before the Cybertronian High Guards as the guards taught the Transformers were spies and wanted to obtain intel that could hurt Sentinel. D16, fed up with their questioning, tried leaving, forcing the leader of the High Guards to confront him. They got into a huge confrontation as D16 came out on top and tried convincing the rest of the guards to abandon their pathetic leader and join him take down Sentinel, and they cheered for him. Orion realized it was no longer the friend he knew, and as they were still on it, they got ambushed by Sentinel soldiers led by his assistant. They laid waste to the High Guards as Orion and his companion transformed and also took part in the battle, but the soldiers were too much for them to handle as Sentinel soldiers were triumphant, capturing D16 and B in the process. Orion Pax was hopeless and was in regret, but Alita was able to comfort and instill hope in him, which gave him an idea to intercept one of the trains heading back to Iacon. Alita rallied the High Guards to listen to Orion Pax, their new leader, as they prepare for battle. The captured Transformers, including D16 and B, were brought before Sentinel as he plans to execute them as traitors before the citizens at Iacon. D16, enraged, stood before him as he had nothing left to lose, but Sentinel struck him and explained how he killed his idol Megatron's Prime and stole his cog for himself. He branded 16 for standing up to him. The miners in one of the trains were being forced to get back to work when Orion took out their superior and intercepted the train. They were shocked to see Orion as he had become a Transformer. He addressed the miners, informing them of how Sentinel lied to them and also stole their cogs as he urges them to join his troops and fight to take Sentinel down, informing Alita as they infiltrated Iacon with the rest of the troops. D16 was injured as B begged him to stay down, but he stood up and was about to be blasted by Sentinel when Alita and her troops arrived and attacked. Sentinel troops defended him fiercely, and Alita was about losing the battle when Orion arrived with the miners as his troops. Their train trashed into the facility, and they were able to free the prisoners, including D16, who refused to listen to Orion as he was clouded by revenge as they sought for Sentinel to take him down. They all battled their way and was able to find Sentinel, but Sentinel was ready as he unleashed his fury and began blasting, but they were able to evade his blast. Alita went one-on-one with Sentinel assistant and was able to take her down. B also took out some soldiers and followed Orion as they made their way to Sentinel location. D16 caught up to Sentinel as they fought fiercely as Sentinel sends him swinging. B infiltrated one of Sentinel facilities as Orion made a live transmission in Iacon, broadcasting Sentinel to the citizens of Cybertron as Sentinel, while fighting D16, was unaware that he was been broadcasted and revealed how he stole all their cogs when they were born to pay off his debt to the Quintessence. It was too late for him as he realized his cover had been blown and the citizens were now against him. D16 took advantage of his distraction and attacked, almost killing him, but Orion came right on time and tried convincing him not to. But D16 was filled with rage and pushed Orion aside and tried blasting, but Orion stood in his way and was blasted in the process. D16 was terrified, and as he wondered why Orion stood in his way, D16 went dark and let Orion fall to his death as he put his attention on Sentinel, taking out any soldier that stands in his way. Orion still falling was proven worthy by Primus, while Sentinel was torn apart by D16, and he took Sentinel core, showed it to the citizens as he urges them to follow him. Orion Pax was brought before the Council of the Primes, and was entrusted the future of Cybertron and also the matrix of leadership. D16 inserted the new core and became Megatron, while Orion inserted the Matrix and became Optimus Prime. Megatron waged war on the followers of Optimus Prime and attacked them as Optimus Prime arrived in his majestic form. Megatron and Optimus Prime got into a huge confrontation as the fight got more and more intense as Megatron followers tried to assist him, but Optimus Prime was too powerful and he took them down and destroys Megatron's armor. Optimus Prime banished Megatron for his betrayal as Megatron promised to return for revenge as he left with his followers. It was a new beginning for Cybertron as he promoted Alita and B and raised his Matrix, restoring the stolen cogs of every bot as they all became Transformers under his leadership. The end. Subscribe to It's Mythical for more mind-blowing recaps like this. Thanks for watching.